Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, in today's episode, we are taking a look at Into the Wasteland, a solo adventure by Edward Pesek. And this is a game that was provided to the channel by the Gamecrafter. So this game is available on the Gamecrafter. This is kind of a very simple post-apocalyptic kind of Mad Max survival adventure game. With a kind of a focus on pressing your luck and some resource management. So in this small box, there's nothing on the back of the box to read, but in this small box you will get your rules pamphlet. I think the rules are pretty well done for such a simple game. There are a few ambiguities that could be cleared up, I think. Could be made clearer by some better written rules. You will get a stack of cards here, so you will get one tracker card for when you are in a facility and keeping track of the days. In this game, you are playing as a fleet of vehicles who is going out into the wasteland, trying to survive for 3 days, gathering civilians, ammo, supplies, and vials of antidotes, and then going back to your home in order to survive. And it's kind of a score chasing game. So you will get a one tracker there. You will get 4 different vehicle cards that are double-sided, and you will be keeping track of how many civilians, how much ammo, how many supplies, and how much damage the vehicles have taken. You will get a deck of Wasteland cards, and these are all the various kind of random encounters that you will be having to survive. And I thought that this was really cool. This is kind of what drew me to the game. This is what made me want to review this game, is the way that these encounter cards are divided up. Kind of looks like a comic book, and I think the art is pretty cool. So I really liked the look of these cards. And then you will get your facility deck, and at certain times you might discover a facility out in the wasteland, and then you can choose to enter a facility. And a facility is kind of where the press your luck element really takes shape, because the facility is high risk, high reward with the kind of same encounters, but you are looking for more supplies and you are having a better chance of having kind of dangerous combat in a facility. And when you enter a facility, there are 6 different kinds of different facilities that you might discover that offer a little twist on the rules. And then once you've survived 3 days, you total up your points as dictated here, and then it's kind of a score chasing game. So let's take a little look at how this game is played. You will also get a set of tracking cubes to keep track of everything on your cards. So let's take our tracking card here. So we have our tracking card for day and facilities. We will place a black cube on day 1. We are starting on day 1. We'll place a black cube on 0 antidotes collected. We have 0 civilians right now in the facility, 0 ammo, 0 supply, and we have found 0 vials. Okay, so now we can take our vehicles and we'll kind of mix and match those up. There's not a lot of difference. I think one of the things that could really elevate this game to being much better, I think this game is close to being pretty good, but there are a few things that I think could be better. And one of those things I think would be if each of the vehicles had some kind of special ability that the player could choose when to trigger. That would give you another choice. There's not a lot of choice in this game, so having each vehicle have its own kind of special ability with a decision point on when to use that special ability would be really cool. I also think it would be really cool if we had 4 double-sided cards for drivers for the vehicles that we could mix and match, and maybe each of the drivers would have one of their own special abilities that we could choose when to trigger. That would introduce 2 really important decisions to be made during the game and also increase the amount of variety. So that's one thing that I do recommend for the designer of this game. But we'll just take these 3 here. So we'll be playing with the SUV, the minivan, and the hatchback. So put those like that. And then on each of the cards, you will have 1 civilian. So 1 civilian is driving. You will start with 1 ammo, 0 supplies, and 0 damage. And so we'll do the same thing for each vehicle. We have 1 civilian driving the minivan. So the minivan can hold a lot of civilians. We have 1 ammo, not very much ammo though, and not very many supplies. So the minivan is more of a passenger minivan rather than a supply van. and then 0 damage. And my SUV can also hold a lot of civilians, but not very many supplies. Has 0 damage, 0 supplies, 1 ammo, and 1 civilian driving. Now we will take our Wasteland deck and we will shuffle that up, and we can place that here. And then we will take our facility deck and shuffle that up, and we will place that here. And we'll place our facility card on the top, so when we find the facility, we can do what it says. Okay, to survive a day in the Wasteland, you have to work your way through the entire Wasteland deck one time. That's 1 day, so a full game, you will be doing that 3 times. And each time you draw a card, you will draw 3 cards before you cycle through. I'll show you what I mean here. So we will draw our first card for the Wasteland, and we will do what it says in spot number 1. So it's an ambush. Spend 1 ammo or lose a civilian and a supply. Okay, I don't have any supplies, so I can't do that. So I can't choose that. I will have to choose to lose an ammo. So I will lose an ammo from my hatchback. So that was our first encounter. Our second encounter is we find some hitchhikers. Gain 1 civilian or 1 supply. Okay, so this is one of the main choices you have in this game, is what kind of resource are you going to gain? Do we want a civilian or a supply? Civilians, we can choose to send a certain number of civilians into the facilities when we find them. So let's add a civilian. I will add a civilian to my minivan. So my minivan has picked up an additional hitchhiker. And now we have our encounter 3, an abandoned car, gain 2 supplies. Okay, I will gain 2 supplies. I will have my SUV pick up both of those supplies. So now these 3 cards go into the discard, and then we do that again. Okay, so we find some hitchhikers again, gain a civilian or a supply. I will add a civilian to my hatchback. Number 2 here is an abandoned warehouse, gain 2 supplies or an ammo. Now, ammo can be used in combat to help you. So when you come across combat, hopefully we'll see how that is used. I will go ahead and gain an ammo. And then encounter number 3, a radiation storm. All vehicles take 1 damage. Shuffle any discarded Wasteland cards back into the deck and deal 3 new cards. Okay, so we kind of get lost, and so we'll have to deal with these cards again. But each of our vehicles will take some damage. So I will take my Wasteland deck here, so that storm kind of adds some time to your day. So those get shuffled, and now these are discarded. So we kind of lost some time there. Okay, so here we have combat. So combat says a raider ambush, complete the conflict or lose civilians equal to the lost. You can actually choose to lose ammo before you lose civilians. And combat conflict is very simple. You roll 2d6. The white die is our survivors. The red die is the enemies. Whoever has the highest total, I think we have to meet or beat, and a 4 to a 6. Okay, so we need to make up 2. We can spend 2 ammo. For each ammo we can't spend, we will lose an additional civilian. I will go ahead and spend 2 ammo, 1 from the hatchback, 1 from the minivan. Okay, so let's see what our second encounter here is. A flat tire. Pay a civilian or ammo. If you cannot, the vehicle takes a damage. Okay, so we have to abandon 1 of our civilians or an ammo. I will spend that ammo there, so I'm kind of fending off some raiders who are trying to stop me while I'm fixing my flat tire. Our third, an abandoned house, gain 1 supply or 2 ammo. Let's gain some more ammo back, so I'll put my ammo on my SUV up to 2 and discard these. Okay, let's see what happens next. Zombies, complete the conflict or lose civilians. Okay, so let's see how this conflict goes. 4 to 5. Okay, so I win that conflict against the zombies, so I don't need to spend any ammo or lose any civilians. 2, an abandoned warehouse, gain 2 supply or 1 ammo. I will go ahead and gain 2 supply into my hatchback. And the third here, a flat tire. Okay, and again, a flat tire, pay a civilian or ammo or take damage. And I will spend an ammo here. Okay, so those 3 cards are done. I'm hoping I can find a facility in this round. If I can't, I'll go ahead and just force a facility for this demonstration. It's a trap. Pay 1 ammo or lose a civilian and a supply. Okay, I will spend an ammo from my SUV. So now I'm down to 0 ammo again. 2, a road mine. A vehicle takes 1 damage. Okay, so we can choose which vehicle to take damage. I will have my hatchback take the damage there. And 3, a military cache, gain 1 ammo. And I will have my hatchback gain an ammo. Now let's say this third card here was a facility. So then we could choose to go into a facility. The first thing we would do is we would roll a d6 to see what kind of facility we are entering. And 1, it's a prison. All raider conflicts must be completed twice before moving on. Ouch. So that's really difficult. So that's the kind of facility we are going into. Now we don't have to go into that facility. We can choose to bypass it, but I will send some of my civilians in. So for the civilians, we actually have them exit their cars and enter the facility on foot. Right now I have 1 civilian in my SUV, 2 in my minivan, and 2 in the hatchback. I'm going to have 2 civilians enter the facility. So I'll lose 2 and then add 2 to the facility. I don't have any ammo to bring in, so my ammo is at 0. And as I find vials, then I can also find antidotes. And so for the facility, you explore until you find an exit or until you die. So that's what I mean by high risk, high reward. Let's see what we find in the facility. 1, you found a civilian hiding in a storage area. Gain a civilian. Okay, so now our civilian goes up on the tracker, on the facility tracker, because this is the group of civilians that is exploring the facility. 2, we found another civilian. Okay, so we have this big group of unarmed civilians walking around this facility. 3, we gain a supply. Okay, so we didn't find an exit, so we keep doing that. Found 1 ammo. Okay, we find an ammo there. 2, found a civilian. Okay, we're up to the maximum number of civilians. We have our entourage of 5 civilians now. 3, found an exit. You may leave the facility or continue. Well, hey, let's leave. We found 1 ammo, so I'll knock that down to 0 and add, let's add an ammo to my minivan. And we have 5 civilians now to divvy up. I'll put 2 in the hatchback. I'll put 2 in the minivan and 2 there and 1. So like that. So we found some supplies in the facility. We return to our vehicles. We divvy up what we found in the facility. And then we continue on into the wasteland. And as we work through the deck, then we will move on from day 1 to day 2 to day 3. Now there are also specialists that you can find out in the wasteland, and these are special civilians that you add to your card. Each time you add one, you will roll a d6, and you will need 3 extra d6 to play this game to keep track of how many times you can use your specialist special ability. For instance, if you found this medical specialist, you could attach them to one of your vehicles, and for a d6 number of times, they could save a civilian. They could bring a civilian that you lost back to life. There are, I think, 3 different civilians in the Wasteland deck. And so as you add them to your cards, that does remove cards from the Wasteland deck, thus making it a little easier to get through an entire day's worth of exploration. So yeah, this game is pretty cool. It's very light. It's very simple. It might be too light and too simple for some people. It's almost there for me. I love the way that these cards look. I think it's really cool. And I like how it is really just kind of a resource management game. I would love to see a little bit more in the decision space in this game. And that's why I think each vehicle having its own special ability that you could use one time throughout the entire game would be really cool. And also having the ability to mix and match different drivers for each of the vehicles with their own special ability could also be really beneficial in adding that kind of a variety that I look for in these kinds of games and adding that choice. And the drivers could be little mini cards that could fit just right alongside each of the vehicles. And I think that would be just a really neat way to kind of mix and match and add some variety and add some of that choice. But I think the designer is on the right track with this game. It's just not quite there yet. I don't think I can fully, wholeheartedly recommend this game in the state that it's in. But in a second edition or with a little more work, I think this would be a really cool game. It's especially nice because it's small. If you were to add 6 driver cards, they could easily fit in this box here without needing a bigger box, and they would add a lot to the game. And at that point, I could very much recommend Into the Wasteland. But if you are looking for something that is very light, very simple, with a cool post-apocalyptic theme, then you might want to check out Into the Wasteland. So once again, thank you to the Gamecrafter for sending this to the channel for review. And I hope you all enjoyed the review of Into the Wasteland. We will talk to you later. Bye-bye.